And joining us to discuss the fixture list is Steve Bone. Steve, hi. What's the standout? What's the first thing your eye went to?
Well, the first thing I was looking for was when are we playing that lot up the road. I know some people, I think probably a lot of people were looking for that first because it's a long time we played them in the league. A lot of people would have said, no, that's just another game, let's see who we're playing first. But that was where I was looking first. I was hoping the home game might be early in the season because I think that might be a good time to play them. But as it happens, the away game is quite early in the season, isn't it? It's down at the moment for Saturday the 13th of September. It will either be a lunchtime kick-off on that day or more likely, I would think, be moved to the Sunday. Similarly, sort of 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something. I imagine Hampshire Police are going to want people hanging around until 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock on any given day before that game.
No.
So we have to go there first, and then they come to us on 24th of January. Again, that could change to the Sunday, couldn't it? Or the Friday night, or the Monday afternoon, or whatever.
They're both very televisable games, aren't they?
They are bound to be on Sky, both of them, I would think. Sky love a derby, don't they? Which is quite right. And as I say, this is the first time since April 2012 that we've played them in the league, and I think most people are looking forward to us playing them. Actually, I think we had a cup game against them a few years ago when we were League One. They were Premier League, and they beat us quite easily down at Fratton. But this is different. This is on an even footing now, so I think people will be looking forward to us getting stuck into them. It's difficult to gauge how Southampton are going to do. They've lost a couple of players, haven't they? They'll be signing some. They've got some money to spend, but they were so bad last season that might just, they might just take a little while to turn that round, mightn't they? The downward momentum might continue for a bit, and if it does, that's one of the reasons I was hoping we'd play them at home early. But same applies to us going there. They might still be struggling a bit. Fifth game of the season, so we'll have seen our boys a little bit by then. What struck me about the first month is that it would appear to be a month of games against sort of what you'd call mid-table teams, really. The sort of teams we were doing okay against at home last season, not so much away. Oxford away is a disappointing first game, isn't it? You have to say. We played them every year for the last goodness knows how many years, or it feels like it anyway. If you were going to play them on the first day, you'd rather it was at home probably, although we did that in 2013. Played them at home on the first day of the season, 2013-14 season, first game of the first proper game, or the first start of the first full season of the fan ownership days, and we lost 4-1 and had Johnny Ertel sent off, so it didn't go to plan. And I can also remember being away to Oxford on the first day of what turned out to be our one season in the top division in the 80s and 87. Went up there full of hope and optimism and lost 4-2 and with a bit of a makeshift team. I think Paul Mariner was playing at centre half that day for some reason. I don't think we'd signed enough defenders, but hopefully there won't be any of those issues this year. It looks as though that's going to be a Saturday 3 o'clock kick-off. I think I've seen some TV alterations for that weekend already, and we're not one of them.
No.
As you'd expect, it's not a glamorous game really, is it? But Oxford, Norwich, West Brom and Preston in the first month isn't bad. You'd be looking to pick up 6 or 7 points, I think, from that little group of games, and it's a bit of a nicer start than we had last year. We went to play Leeds and Luton and everybody, didn't we, in the first month?
Yeah, I think a lot of Pompey fans are thinking the same, but we don't like to. We're cautious about saying it out loud in case it puts a hex on it.
Yeah, you can't predict. You can't depend on anything, can you? You can't depend on a certain number of points from a certain group of games. A couple of other things that leapt out at me. Well, October looks quite nice, doesn't it? 5 games, and 4 of them are at home. You've got 2 home games at the start of the month, then you've got an international break, then you've got an away game at Leicester, who again, they're another team like Southampton that might just struggle for a little while to adapt.
They were second bottom, weren't they?
They were, and they were, in any other season they'd have been bottom, wouldn't they? But
Are they still in financial dire straits?
I think so. Yeah, there's been talk of.
Well, you shouldn't say it, but good.
Deductions. Well, yeah, absolutely. Other clubs being in trouble helps us, doesn't it? It might be one club fewer that we need to finish it in front of. But sorry, going back to October. So you got Leicester away in the middle of it, but Watford and Middlesbrough at home at the start of the month, and then Coventry and Stoke at home at the end of the month, which is 4 home games actually that we took maximum points from last season. Yes. So October could yield a nice little haul. April looks the hardest month. I mean, I'm looking at a graphic that divides it nicely into calendar months, and it, it's impossible not to look at them in those sort of groups. April starts with it. Easter is at the start of April, so we've got 4 away games out of 6 in April. 4 games out of 6 are away from home. I mean, so you've got Norwich away, Oxford at home, Middlesbrough away, Leicester at home, and then Coventry and Stoke away. That could be tough. You wouldn't want to be going into April needing a certain number of points to stay up still, would you really?
No.
You'd want to be a little way above it before then, because the only game that comes after April is the final game, Saturday the 2nd of May, home to Birmingham, which is, and again, Birmingham, you think Birmingham are going to do quite well this year. They're on an upward curve, aren't they? Got lots of money behind them. Well-supported club. They could be...
They won League One easily, didn't they?
They did, yeah, and they could well be...
111 points, was it?
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah,
crazy. Well, not crazy, but...
So they could,
impressive.
They could, on that final day, they could be coming down to us needing a win to go up or something, couldn't they? Or get in the playoffs.
Aye.
So it could be a tough end to the season, but yeah, lots to look forward to. Whenever fixtures come out and people get excited about them, there are always people that say, "Oh, look, we're playing all 23 teams." And we're playing them all at home and all away between August and May. As if to say, why do people get excited about it? But you do, don't you?
Well,
because you're mapping out your
it's the start of the season. I mean,
it is,
start of the pre-season.
Yeah, feels a bit real.
Has begun now. We can now call the season that's just ended last season.
Yes, I think so, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, they're back in training, aren't they, the lads?
Can't still call the coming season this season quite yet.
No, I don't think you can. No.
Besides it looking slightly like an easier start to the season over the first 8 or 9 games, I can't remember whether it's standard practice for clubs to go 8 games before they have their first midweek league game, but we do.
Yeah. I think that happened last season, didn't it? I seem to remember.
Can't remember.
I think we had a League Cup game against Millwall early on in August, but we didn't have any league games in midweek until that same sort of time.
Right.
I think. But then, once they start, they come quite regularly, don't they? You've got 2 in October, you've got 2 in November, you've even got 1 early December, and then you've got some every month, right through to April. Yeah, I don't know why that is. You think they could stick one in earlier, couldn't they? They could stick one in August.
Just off the top of my head suddenly here, perhaps it has to do with finding fixture dates for the, I don't mean this in any derogatory way, the slightly lesser cup competitions.
Yes, I suppose so, yeah.
Could be in there, couldn't it?
It could be, couldn't it? I mean, Championship clubs have fewer other commitments, don't they, than League One and League Two, who have also got the EFL Trophy to contend with. Half of the Premier League are in Europe this year, aren't they? So those weeks have to be avoided for them. So yeah, and we spoke before, didn't we, about the fellow who used to have the job of working out the fixtures, and being in control of the fixture computer and putting all the different factors in before you ask it to come up with the fixtures. There's a lot of different pressures, isn't there, on the calendar, even more so now. So I'm sure it is. The midweek lineup is like that for a reason. But I haven't worked out yet if we've got more at home in midweek than away. I'll have to have a look at that.
That's worth knowing. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how soon it will be before we start getting stories of certain clubs calling the authorities and saying, look, this bit here doesn't work because of local difficulties, because they're playing a game 10 10 miles up the road, and we thought we would be excused from that for transport reasons and, bothery, bit of bother, So those sorts of things. Have you, if you have young children, if you're a family with young children, then the Christmas period of football is one thing. If you don't, either because you haven't started yet or they've grown up, it's a totally different thing, isn't it?
That's true.
How do you look at the 4 fixtures that we've got between, I think it's
we've got
Boxing Day and New Year's Day?
Yeah, so our last one before Christmas, Saturday the 20th, is Derby away.
Yeah, I see.
Which isn't a bad away trip. So the Christmas ones are QPR at home on Boxing Day, the 26th.
That's not too bad, is it? That's not bad.
That's not bad. We've had that fixture before. I mean, I think most fans probably want a home game on Boxing Day because it's less of a. You don't have to take the whole day out then, do you, to travel somewhere? Went to Watford last year, didn't we? But we have been further than that on Boxing Day. And then you're at home again on there's no games on the Saturday and Sunday immediately after Boxing Day, but Monday the 29th will be an evening game at home to Charlton, which is a nice one. And then the only sort of festive period away game is Bristol City on New Year's Day. And I don't know, New Year's Day doesn't seem so bad for an away trip, does it? It's not as bad as leaving the family behind on Boxing Day.
Well, it all depends on whether you stayed up beyond Old Lang Syne, isn't it?
That is true.
Really?
Yes, there'll be a few sore heads going up the M4 that day, won't there?
Yeah.
But it's the reverse of what we had last year, isn't it? Because last year we were at home on that Saturday before Christmas. We then had Watford and Bristol City away.
That's right.
On the 26th, 29th, and then we were at home on New Year's Day. So maybe that's how they do try to work it, so that if one club has 2 away games in Christmas week one year, they don't the following year. But yeah, it's quite a nice little festive offering. QPR and Charlton at home. You'd be looking for some points from those two, wouldn't you? And at Easter, I noticed we've got for the second year in a row, Norwich away on Good Friday.
You just noticed that? It's not a tradition yet.
No. It's a funny place to go on Good Friday, isn't it? But we did okay there last year, so we'll take the same result again, 5-3. Nice start to Easter.
Steve, thank you so much for that consummate roundup of the fixture list.
No problem. We look forward to discussing the games themselves when they actually come along next.
But I'm not letting you go yet because we've got to crack on with the rest of the podcast. First of all, I want to ask you, were you shocked and surprised to suddenly discover, and I think you might have found out because you stay close to the media, before they even found out at Fratton Park, that Atkinson has signed a 3-year contract with Bristol City?
Yes, it was... it did come as a bit of a surprise, didn't it? Well, Atkinson's a funny one because since he went back to Bristol City at the end of the season, there's been all sorts of twists and turns in the saga, hasn't there? Every sort of different thing, different lines about, this is a good sign that Atkinson might come back to Pompey. Or this is a bad sign and he might not come back to Pompey. And there were new managers, there were other players that Bristol City were going to sign coming into it. But it's ended up with him signing a new contract there. That presumably means he's not going to be out for loan or anything like that. It's a bit of a shame, I think, because I think he would have been a good addition. I think we saw enough of him.
He absolutely would.
Second half of last season, he fitted in really well, didn't he? Did a great job and scored a couple of goals as well at the other end.
So are we looking for another centre half?
Well, I think that Richard Hughes has gone on record as saying we are. I haven't heard him say that since the Atkinson thing died. But I think even though we've got 4 on the books, haven't we? Because we've got Matthews, Boat, Shaughnessy, and Poole. And by the way, as an aside, I read a little stat this week, which I think came from Hancock Analysis. The Hancock Analysis feed on Twitter, saying that the last time Poole and Shaughnessy were on the field together for Pompey in a competitive game was the 5th of November 2023. 23? Yeah, more than 18 months ago. So, which I think was the day Poole did his ACL at Chesterfield. They've not played. They've been in the same squad And there've been a couple of times, I think, last season where one came on for the other in a game, but they haven't both played together for that long, which is incredible, isn't it? Really,
that's a big issue.
Real bad luck. You wonder if they both stayed fit throughout that period. What we might have achieved. But sorry, going back to the question. So you've got those two. You've got Boat and you've got Matthews. You've also got Towler and McIntyre, but most people think that one or both of those would be moved on if there was the right deal for Player and for Pompey. So I think if both of those moved on, you'd certainly be looking for another one. Especially, knowing how easy it is to lose a couple through injury. It can happen in the blink of an eye, can't it?
We've got cover in Jordan Williams if we can get him consistently fit, and we've got cover in the shape of the ever incredible Conor Ogilvie, and Marlon Pack can still
both of them
put in a shift.
Yeah, that's true. You've got plenty of cover, although ideally you'd probably want enough centre halves in the squad never to have to use any of those three at centre half, because you want to use them. You want to use Conor Ogilvie at left back. He's going to start the season as first choice left back, isn't he? Williams probably will start the season as first choice right back. Swanson and Devlin might have something to say about that, but we'll see. Pack, I don't think the manager would want to use Pack at centre half again, really, even though he actually did quite well in a lot of his appearances there. I don't think you can fault him for his effort there. But Pack has probably seen more of a either starting in central midfield or on the bench to come on in midfield, or as a squad player and club captain and what have you. I still think with Atkinson falling through, I think we probably will see another one come in at some point. Maybe from abroad, maybe there's another one down under that they're looking at.
There's no shortage of down under talent, is there? That's beginning to become clear.
Yeah.
Can I get your thoughts on a couple of little rumours? Some of them really quite translucent, I think. But anyway, let's start with one, shall we? I haven't even got the details in front of me, but I caught a whiff of us being interested in some Ukrainian goalkeeper who's being let go by, it might be Arsenal. I can't see that we need another goalkeeper. That's crazy, isn't it?
I can't see that one adds up, really.
No.
Because if he's that good, if he's as good as that he sounds just from that sort of headline, then why would he be coming here to be second choice and face a real fight to be first choice?
Yeah.
I just can't see that unless there was some ridiculous sort of claim or idea that Schmidt was going to move on, and I haven't heard that. I don't think there's any chance of that happening. He's on quite a long deal, I think, isn't he now?
Wow.
That's one that just doesn't add up. And sometimes these rumours come up from people that don't know the full picture of the club they're talking about. And
do you think Rich Hughes' phone is going ping with messages from other clubs going, could we book a telephone conversation with you for half an hour ASAP, subject to be discussed? And it turns out to be, I don't know, Josh, say, or who might be Schmidt.
There must be a bit of that, I should think. I don't know if that's the way they do it, but
nor do I, no.
There's interest. There are plenty of players in our squad who did well last season and would have caught the eye because of the level they were playing at and because of how well they did. You've named two of them there, Schmidt and Murphy.
Well, it does them good to hear it, so name names. Paddy Lane didn't have a bad season, did he?
No. And he's another one that they've said could, they've indicated that Lane, if the right offer came in...
Terry Devlin, he plays where he wants. Doesn't he? Is it Terry Devlin plays where he wants?
Yeah, he does.
Love it.
And plays very well where he wants as well.
Yeah,
there's a few there that, we're all thinking of. It's not just about the ones you want to move on, is it? It's the ones you don't want to move on, and whether you can hold on to them if a bigger club or a good offer comes in. Every player's got a price on their head. And we've had it before at Pompey. There have been some quite dramatic sales of players late in the transfer window. A couple of days before the deadline. Suddenly you find somebody you thought was going to be starting at number 5 in the next game has been sold to West Brom or something.
If a Pompey fan was to say to you, Steve, the players that might be of interest are either too young and unexposed or too mature.
What the players we might be interested in?
No, the players that other clubs might be interested in. On a personal note, and I mean this is your piece, but on a personal note, I don't think there's any danger of us selling anybody that we want to keep.
No, it doesn't. I don't think we need to financially, do we? And I think the owners know that, having done well in the Championship on a lower budget, I think it would be a bad look for them to then sell somebody like Murphy. Let's use Murphy as the example, because he's probably the most likely of our players who would attract a good offer. There's no pressure on financially on the club to sell, is there? You would think, even if they want to spend a bit of money themselves in bringing somebody in. So you never say never, but I agree with you there. I don't think we'll sell anyone that we don't want to. I think the manager has probably got quite a strong. I think the manager is in quite a strong position, in that the owners want to keep him. They know that there's been interest in him as a manager. We've read this stat again, haven't we? About he's the only one of the 18 clubs that have stayed in the Championship last season and this season. He is the only one to have been in post from this time last year to now. So he, as Pompey have been loyal to him, but he's been loyal to Pompey. So I think they know that, and I think that if he said to the owners, if a good offer comes in for Murphy and the manager says, I really don't want to sell him, and the player is not pushing for it, then I don't think he'll go.
No.
Because I think that is the position the manager's in, and that is the position that the owners are in. They've got a few quid in the bank, haven't they? They're not desperately looking to raise money to keep things going as they are.
They don't need another swimming pool.
No, I don't think so. Not just yet.
No.
They're
or private chairlift that apparently they've got from their house down to their private beach.
well, you'd need one, wouldn't you? You don't want to exert too much.
They're okay.
Going to the beach for the day.
They're okay.
Yeah. So I think we can. I'm not saying we can be complacent about that. Because if a good enough offer comes in, you have to consider it. And if a Premier League club came in for Josh Murphy, he might say to Pompey, "I want to go." But don't think that's going to happen this summer.
No.
But
now,
maybe one or two surprises.
Turning your attention, if I could, to a piece that I hope you didn't see on one of those websites, which claims, I call them new football news agencies, but I'm being flattering there. They are websites, folks who got a 2-1 in media studies at Hull, and that suggests that I think I'm a better qualified journalist than they are, and I'm a better qualified journalist than almost any non-journalist, so that's not hard. This piece got my back up because the thrust of it was that I will paraphrase. The thrust of it was the Australian experiment hasn't worked.
Oh, it's a bit early to say that, isn't it?
There's lots of reasons that are wrong with it. There are lots of reasons why the assertion is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a clickbait piece, for one thing.
Yeah, these things often are, aren't they?
Absolutely. And it made fundamental mistakes, like saying, for example, Farrell arrived, only played one game, and didn't make the team again. He was injured.
He literally couldn't make the team again because he was injured all season.
And they said Matthews made a good start, but then Pompey lost him as well. So there was a kind of an implication there that they're injury prone, which of course is nonsense. But they're all Pompey players are injury prone one way or another. Yeah, for goodness' sake.
They're from. Yeah, that sounds like it sounds a bit poorly researched.
Yengi never got going, it said, and there's something in that, but again, it was injury mainly that held him back, surely?
I think you can't say yet that the Australian experiment hasn't worked because it's not had a chance to run its course. We haven't really seen much of Matthews, we haven't seen much of Farrell, we haven't seen much of Waddingham, who's another one who, he did only play a couple of games, but that was expected. Some people didn't expect him to play any when he came in because of the stage of his career he's at. We've now signed a fourth one, Segicic. I think this time next year you can judge it. You know, if 3 of those 4 have had a good season and have made a difference for us, then the experiment has been a success. If none of the 4 of them have made an impact and they've all drifted out of the picture, and either been sold or what have you, then I think you can say that. Then that's the reasonable time to say it hasn't worked. Interesting to call it an experiment as well, isn't it?
I think I may have made that bit up, but it was the implication.
Because it's not
nothing if not accurate and honest, and I think I paraphrased.
Okay.
That one. But then the manager came out at the bell fighting. And I think he identified that 1 or 2 of the Australian players might not fully understand the different strata of media that there are in this country, so that you have national press and you have regional press and local press, and then you have, internet websites that anybody can start one up. Anybody can start one and say pretty much what they want, because they're not subject to the normal constraints of top-flight journalism. And I think he identified there was a possibility that one of those Australian players, Farrell, may not have taken it too well. How could you take it well? Colby Bishop, a big man, a grown man, an experienced footballer like Colby Bishop, he let it get under his skin, the social media stuff. So he came out fighting John Messina and said that Farrell is a nailed-on player with a great future. And that's just what that player may have needed to hear.
Yes. Yeah, if you get knocked wherever that criticism comes from, you need your manager on your side, don't you? Especially if it's unfounded and unfair. You can't write off a player who's only played one game. I seem to remember the one game he played, he looked pretty good, actually. He looked as though he fitted in quite well.
Yes, he did.
Defended well and got forward a bit as well, didn't he?
And quick, mature, gets forward, versatile.
So ridiculous to say that hasn't worked. We'll see. Let's hope he stays fit. And he'll be putting pressure on Ogilvie for that left back spot pretty soon. So,
two rumours.
It's nice for the manager to come out.
2 quick rumours. I must just get your 3pence on. One is it looks as though John Swift is not coming. Do you think he's talked himself out of it because of money?
Well, we don't know how seriously Pompey looked at him, do we? They may well have done, but equally it might have been others putting 2 and 2 together, and because he was available and because he's from down here and because it was a position that Pompey needed to strengthen in, that was why he was thought to be coming. I think it's one of those that it's always nice when a player sort of comes back home and talks a good game and says the right things. We've seen it with Pack and Ritchie. It can work. But at the same time, I don't think fans got their hopes up too much about him. He's not a player that we know. We don't really remember him. It wasn't like he played for us.
No.
He played for the first team when he was here before. So I don't think fans' hopes would have got up too high with him. I think he could. I think he'd be a good player for somebody. But no, one of those names that came up. We've probably moved on from it. There'll be others that crop up and maybe appear even closer than him that don't happen, and we'll soon forget them. So we're still a little bit light on number of new signings made, aren't we? We haven't made too many yet, but I don't think clubs generally have made too many between them yet. So I'm not panicking. I think we'll see some more over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Now they're back in training. The squad are together. The manager will identify more and more what he's short of. They're going away for a week, aren't they? Quite soon.
We've timed our annual leave for between the big announcement of the fixture list, so this is our last day in the studio for 7 days. And we're confident that although the transfer window will have reopened before then, there won't be much doing. Well, there is one other rumour I just want to ask you about, and that is, I think it's Shendon. Is it Shendon? It's not Sheldon. Shendon Baptiste, who is clearly a very, very, very capable footballer when fit. But with him, it's not just his hamstring or maybe his ACL as well, it's his shoulders. He keeps dislocating a shoulder.
That's odd, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. That's quite an unusual injury for a footballer.
Tumbling?
It's almost
going to ground?
It's more common for a rugby player or something, isn't it? With the type of game that is. Yeah, that would be a concern, wouldn't it? If you were signing him, good player, but you'd have to look at his injury history. I imagine that with the bad luck we've had with injuries over the last couple of years, any potential player who's coming down and talking to the club is going to have a close rule run over them in terms of fitness and injuries, and are they prone to any particular type of injury, and if they are, why are they? So hopefully our medical, if it gets that far with him, and maybe it won't, the medical staff will have a very good look at that. But yeah, you can count on the fingers of one hand the number of dislocated shoulders you hear about in one season.
That's
really,
right.
Anywhere, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Unusual and painful as well, I should imagine.
You hear that, don't you? You don't want to dislocate your shoulder.
Oh no. You'd know about it, wouldn't you?
Apparently you hear the noise of it going back in. I didn't need to know that, and nor did you, but I did already, so you can have it as well.
On that note, you're now not going to talk to me for 2 weeks and leave me with that thought.
That's it. Thank you for everything. I know you've been involved in a bit of a break yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have, yeah.
You're back at the grindstone next week.
I am, and look forward to our next chat, whenever that one will be, and I'm sure it'll all be starting to seem very real, and Oxford away will be looming ever closer by then.
Yeah. Cheers, Steve.
Thank you.